I'm making a main course that means business. It's my buttermilk fried chicken, which has everything you could ever want in a comfort food. It's juicy on the inside and has a thick, crunchy shell on the outside. I brine the chicken, batter it, deep fry it, and then demolish. To start, I've got my chicken broken down into 10 pieces in my casserole dish where I'm gonna brine it. And I'm gonna cover it with buttermilk, which is the best brining liquid because it makes the meat so moist and then it also adds that tang. I'm gonna add about 3 cups. Some cayenne pepper. A ½ teaspoon will add the perfect little kick, but it won't be overpowering. And then 3 tablespoons of kosher salt, which seems like a lot of salt, but the brine needs it in order for it to do its job. Because what the brine is doing is it's basically pulling out the moisture from the chicken, and then when the moisture goes back into the chicken, it's flavored with all that salt and this other goodness in the brine. And then it's just gonna get so juicy. I'll add 1 tablespoon of sugar, loads of black pepper, and then a few sprigs of fresh thyme. And this is gonna mirror the dried thyme that's in the zaatar that'll go on top at the end. And lastly, a couple of cloves of garlic. And I'm just gonna smash them so that they can infuse the mixture. I don't need to chop them up totally. Plop these in, and then I'm gonna use my tongs to zhuzh everything around. And this is a great straightforward brine. It'd be really good with pork chops or turkey, other lean meats. The chicken is fully coated. I'll grab some plastic wrap. I'll let this brine in the refrigerator for a few hours, and it is gonna make the meat so tender and juicy. It's worth it. Nick's outside heating up the grill for our fry out, and if I know him, he is jonesing for a piece of fried chicken right now. I already have the chicken brining in some buttermilk, garlic, thyme, and cayenne, and it's gonna make the meat so tender and juicy. And now I just need to mix up my coating. So I'm gonna grab 2½ cups of all-purpose flour, ½ cup of cornstarch, which is gonna make it extra crunchy, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, and then I'll spice things up with 1 tablespoon of paprika, or 3 teaspoons if you want to get mathematical, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, so flavorful. I feel like garlic powder is underrated. 1 teaspoon of dried mustard powder, chicken and mustard, match made in poultry heaven, and then ½ teaspoon of cayenne for a little more heat. I'll crack in some black pepper. Smelling good already. And I'll whisk it together. My coating is combined. Let me grab the chicken, see if it's up from its nap yet. This is gonna be so juicy. I'm gonna do something that has revolutionized my life as a fried chicken lover. I'm gonna actually add some of the brine into the coating, and that allows the coating to clump up so you can get more of it in each bite, and it adds some of this delicious flavor from the brine. I'm gonna drizzle in a ¼ cup of the brine, and then get in here with my hands to get it clumpy and good. Oh yeah, baby. So I have a pan ready to go here with a wire rack, and I'm gonna start with the legs, the best part. I'll let any of the excess coating drip off, and then I'll coat it all over. See, some of these clumps are just sticking on. I love the texture that the brine forms with the coating. This is what you need to live in the North, is a big, heavy coat. The chicken is ready. I'll get this on my pan, dredge the rest of my chicken, and then head outside for an awesome fry out. Hi.
Hey.
You ready to fry some meat?
Yes, I am.
Okay, the chicken is dredged.
Okay.
It smells really good. How's the oil doing?
We are getting real close at 350.
Perfect. So fry this in 2 batches.
Okay.
It'll take about 10 to 12 minutes, but the wings and the breasts will be done first. Got it? And then I'm gonna do the carrots.
All right. Done.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
perfect.
Okay, you can put it on this wire rack now.
Okay.
The wire rack is gonna allow any excess oil to drip off. It's gonna keep it crispy on the bottom too.
And they said I couldn't fry chicken.
I didn't say that. I'm gonna sprinkle it with some zaatar as it comes off. Zaatar is a spice blend with dried thyme, sumac, which is vinegary, and some toasted sesame seeds. This is just gonna bring it over the top. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh.
Done.
This looks so good. I'm ready to eat. Chicken!
I did that. Kind of unbelievable.
I am making one of my top 5 favorite foods with one of my top 5 favorite people.
Thanks.
Okay, so my chicken schnitzel is juicy fried chicken that's pounded extra thin, so it's really, really crispy. So we are pounding out our chicken breast so that it's really thin so that it gets extra crispy. Once it's about like a quarter inch, you just want it as thin as possible without it breaking. So once it's that thin, then we can get onto the braiding. Okay, these are pounded perfectly. Let's get on to breading. Okay, we're gonna set up a dredging station. We're gonna get flour in this pan. And then do you wanna crack 4 eggs into this pan?
Okay.
Okay, so the chicken is going to get coated in flour, dunked in egg, and then coated in panko breadcrumbs, which will make it really, really crunchy. Do you want to whip up the eggs with a splash of water? That just makes it easier to coat. And then I'm just going to add some paprika to the breadcrumbs and then season them with salt and pepper. It'll be so good. Okay, we've got a breading station set up. We've got flour, egg, and breadcrumbs. And now we're just gonna dunk the chicken in these 3 things in that order. So we just take a piece of chicken and get it evenly coated in the flour. And this is gonna help the egg stick. And just make sure that it's all covered in the egg because that is gonna help the crunchy breadcrumbs stick.
And we want maximum breadcrumb adherence.
Yes, exactly. Okay, this one is ready to fry. I have some flavorless oil heating up on the stove, and I'm gonna gently transfer it right in here. And these are getting fried at 360 for a couple of minutes on each side until they're golden brown. Let me flip it. Okay, look at this gorgeous golden color.
Oh my gosh, that looks good.
Yeah, this is a beautiful schnitzel. Okay, I'm gonna transfer it to a wire rack, and this is going to keep it crispy. And then I'm just gonna sprinkle it with a little salt and pepper. And now these can hold in a warm oven so that they stay hot until our friends arrive.
Enough chatting, let's get frying.
Gently. It's important not to overcrowd the pan, otherwise it'll drop the temperature of the oil. And we don't want that because then the oil will soak into the breading and make it taste oily. And I keep my thermometer clipped to the side of the pan so that I can make sure that the oil is hot enough at all times. I'll keep on frying these in batches, and then I'll hold these in the oven at 250 to keep them crispy until my friends get here. Let's finish off that schnitzel. Oh my, these look incredible. They are golden and crispy. For the finishing touch, I'll sprinkle them with some parsley. And now schnitzel needs a fresh squeeze of lemon, so I'm gonna garnish with some lemon wedges. I bet Nick is outside already pouring some beers. I'm gonna grab my bites and take them out, and we are going to eat.
Wunderbar.
I am making my fried chicken banh mi sandwiches. They are crispy and juicy, loaded with pickled veggies and sweet creamy mayo. I'll start by making my chicken. I have 1 large chicken breast here that I've thinly sliced. Now for my dredge, I'll combine 2 eggs with a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. I'll season with 2 teaspoons of kosher salt and a teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice. I'll mix this up until it's smooth. This cornstarch with the egg creates a thicker, crunchier coating. Okay, and I'll take the chicken on through. I'll get it coated in the egg and then transfer it to panko breadcrumbs. And I've brought these to room temperature, which allows that breading to adhere really well to the chicken. All right, these are fully coated. I've got about 1 inch of neutral oil here, heating to 350 degrees in my skillet. And I'll lower these in gently away from me so that oil does not splatter. That's exactly the sizzle you want to hear. And I'll fry these for 1 to 2 minutes per side until they're golden brown and crisp, like a beautiful golden wheat field. I think we have arrived at Crispy Town. Look at that beauty. It's gonna be so crunchy. I'll transfer these to a wire rack so that any excess oil can drip off. the rack, allows for air circulation underneath so that the bottom can stay crisp. I'll let these drain while I whip up my mayo. The unsung hero of a banh mi sandwich is the sauce. Mayonnaise, hoisin, sriracha. I'm just gonna throw them all together. I'll start with half a cup of Japanese mayonnaise, a tablespoon of hoisin sauce, which is super sweet and salty, and 2 tablespoons of sriracha for heat. Fried chicken sandwiches have to have mayo. It's just a rule of life. I'll stir this up. Okay, that's it, easy peasy. I'll grab my baguettes. I've buttered them and gotten them toasty. I'll get my other fixins and then I'll be ready to assemble. I've got a rainbow of bright toppings here and I'll build. Start with 1/2 of the baguette, slather it with mayo, crust to crust so that every bite gets some. Top with chicken. Now, a requirement for a banh mi is a pickled mixture of carrots and daikon radishes that are crunchy and peppery. And I've just quick pickled these with some rice vinegar, salt, and sugar. And the combination of this cooling crunch up against the hot fried chicken is what keeps me going back, bite after bite. I usually see cucumbers on these, but my own little Midwest spin is that I'm gonna use hamburger dills, some thinly sliced jalapenos. I'll finish with a pile of fresh cilantro. Gotta have cilantro. More mayo, just a little bit. And a necessary sandwich assembly step. Smash. Drink everything together. I'll wrap this up. Oh, this is one super sandwich. This is my last little hurrah of summer. The catch of the day is corn cereal crusted fried fish with a creamy homemade tartar sauce. This is fillets of walleye, which is a local, mild, flaky white fish. It is so delicious. I look at it as a vehicle for crunchy fried bits and tartar sauce. And now I'm gonna take them through a standard dredging station. I've got all-purpose flour here, some beaten egg, and the crunchy corn cereal coating, which gives you these craggly bits. It's super, super crunchy. And now I'm assigning one of my hands to be the egg hand, and then I'll keep my other hand as the dry ingredients hand so that I don't also dredge my fingers. I'll get these completely coated in the egg. The corn cereal has been crushed to about the size of oatmeal, and it's been seasoned with some paprika to lend some of those smoky campfire vibes. This is looking good. It's completely coated. I have some neutral oil heating here over medium, and to test to make sure that it's hot enough, I'm gonna drop in a piece of cereal and it should sizzle immediately, just like that. I'm gonna fry this in 2 batches because I don't wanna overcrowd the pot. If I do, that's gonna drop the temperature of the oil, and then that could make the fish taste greasy and icky, and nobody wants that. I love that sound so much. And one thing I love about fish is that it cooks really quickly. So just a few minutes on each side until this coating is golden. This is already getting golden. So I'll flip it to make sure that it's evenly cooked all over. Oh yeah. That's exactly the golden color that I'm looking for. And look at that texture. All of those craggly bits of corn cereal are gonna be so crunchy and good. I've got a wire rack here over a pan, and I'm gonna transfer these pieces to. And the wire rack is important because it allows the air to get underneath it and keep the bottom crispy. Okay, while those are still hot and still have some excess oil on them, I'm gonna season them with salt so that it sticks. Okay, I'll fry up the second batch of fish. Okay, a sprinkle of salt. And now I'm gonna make my tartar sauce, but I'm gonna keep these crispy in a warm oven while I do that. No offense to walleye, but it's really just a vehicle for tartar sauce. And this one is so good, you could eat it with a spoon. For the base, I'm using a combination of mayonnaise and Greek yogurt. This just keeps you coming back for more, and you could eat it all day long on that shore. And now I'll flavor it with relish, which is a must for tartar sauce. A tablespoon of stone ground mustard for that zinginess. And then I've got some smoked paprika, more campfire smokiness, a little garlic powder. and a pinch of cayenne for another kind of heat. And lastly, I'll class things up with some chopped parsley. It's looking really good. Okay. This color is so beautiful. I'm smelling that corn cereal. I can hear how crispy it is. Put my tartar sauce in here. And I'll arrange the lemon wedges all around, but I'm gonna keep one in my hand because I'm gonna do this immediately. Here I go. For an epic app, I'm making my spicy barbecue wings, which are a deep fried, crispy, juicy, raging party of magic for your mouth. I'm starting off with a few pounds of wings that I'm seasoning with salt. And then my dredge here is really easy. It's just flour, paprika, cayenne, and salt. Now I'll get all my wings thoroughly coated in the dredge. And these wings are patted dry, which is gonna help make them crispy. They're ready to fry. I have a few inches of neutral oil heating up here to 350 degrees. I've got it in a cast iron pot, which I love for deep frying because it holds the heat really nicely. I'm gonna fry these in batches for about 12 to 15 minutes until they're golden brown and crispy. It's about to smell really good in here. A few months after I moved to town, Nick and I went to this really cool bar, and their wings are really famous. You can order them from 0 to 100 on a spiciness level. I think we got a 12. They were delicious, but Nick and I were way not cool enough to hang out there, so now I make my own wings at home inspired by theirs. I think these are almost ready. Hello, crispy town. I'm gonna transfer these to my wire rack now. I'll keep on frying, and then I'll toss them in my wing sauce. I love barbecue and I love buffalo, so this is my sweet and spicy combination of both. I've got my big bowl here to toss the wings, and I'm gonna build the sauce in here as well. I'm gonna get it heating over low, and I'll melt 6 tablespoons of butter, 1/3 of a cup of barbecue sauce, 1/3 of a cup of hot sauce, building more depth of flavor, a tablespoon of sriracha, just for more heat, and a tablespoon of honey, just to round everything out. I'll just whisk this together as the butter finishes up melting. I mean, this sauce looks like a sauce, but it smells like a dream. I think it's ready for the wings. Get it off the heat, and I'll give these wings a saucy bath. They sound so crispy. I'll get these completely coated. It's not fair. I just want to eat all of these for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. I'll get this onto my plate. Look how glossy and saucy. I'm barely gonna be able to wait long enough to sprinkle these scallions on, but I'm gonna power through. Going in. Dunking in a ranch blue cheese combo. Oh, heck yeah.